Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Calvin James, award-winning children's book author. Thank you for stopping by. In 2017, my first son was born and I started writing stories for him. After writing 9, I decided to start a publishing company called Calvin James Creates to share my children's books, novels, and music promoting truth, kindness, friendship, love, and hope. There's 2 purposes to this channel. One is to share writing tips for authors and musicians, and generally to help anyone who's struggling out there to reach a dream that seems impossible to catch. The second, and I feel in some respects the more important reason, is to entertain. My hope is anyone can stop by this channel, and even if it's just for a few minutes, if they're having a bad day, they can laugh, they can smile, they can become inspired to just feel better. That's what this channel is all about. The first story I'm sharing is about an experience that shaped me more than any other, the freezer. I started writing music right after high school in 1998. Went to school in Philadelphia at Temple, dropped out in 2000 to focus more on my music, and performed in and around the Philadelphia area from 2000 to 2008. I released an album called City, a Christmas EP called Christmas Sunrise. I still write music, but not as much as I used to since I started writing children's stories. I went back to school in 2008, and after graduation, got a job at KYW News Radio. I was in a relationship at the time, but that was about to end. I was only making $8.50 an hour, so I needed a better job making more money. So at the time, a position in the marketing department opened up at KYW, making about $35K a year. But at the same time, an internship opened up at Gamble and Huff Music. If you don't know who Gamble and Huff are, they founded Philadelphia International Records. They were known as the Sound of Philadelphia and are one of the greatest songwriting duos of all time. They wrote songs for the Stylistics, the OJs, the Jacksons, the Spinners, Teddy Pendergrass, Patti LaBelle, the list goes on. They were actually offered a job by Berry Gordy at Motown Records to come work for him, and they turned it down and decided to work for themselves. So I had a choice. I could take the marketing job, making about $35K, or I could take the internship, keep making $8.50 an hour, and follow my dream of being a musician. I think you know which one I picked. The internship started in September of 2010. I had a friend who owned a water ice stand in the Tacony area of Philadelphia on Torresdale Avenue, and I asked could I stay there, and he said yeah, but there was a catch. There was no electricity, no hot water, and no heat. Now he said like I could stay at his house in Bucks County, but I couldn't because the water ice stand was like 10 minutes from downtown. Bucks County, almost like 45 minutes to an hour with traffic, and I would never get to the internship or to the radio station on time to work. So the water ice stand was the best I could do. The store had a shower in the back, so I could bathe, but there was no hot water, so it was freezing. And then by mid-October into November, the entire building was ice cold. Ironically, the warmest place in the building to sleep was a walk-in freezer. So that's where I slept. There's no windows or doors in a walk-in freezer, so I would go to sleep in complete darkness and wake up in complete darkness, which was really disorienting. Sometimes my hours at the radio station were 12 a.m. to 8 a.m., and the internship was 9 to 5 every day. So those days when I was doing an overnight and then had to go to the internship were rough. On those overnights, sometimes what I would do is I would just make sure the station was on the air, go into the bathroom, turn off the lights, and fall asleep on the floor. At the time in 2010, KYW was on 400 in Market, and Philadelphia International Records was at 309 South Broad. It's only a 27-minute walk between the two, but I couldn't do it because I didn't have the money to park my car downtown all day. So if I worked an overnight shift, I'd get out at 8 a.m., I'd hustle to my car, drive down to Columbus Boulevard, also formerly known as Delaware Avenue, and park down there. It was about a 45-minute walk from where some free parking was to the internship, so I had to like slash jog, slash walk to get there on time. Food was always an issue because I didn't have a lot of money. I lived at Taco Bell and McDonald's, but not Burger King. I got 3 double cheeseburgers once from Burger King, and my body did not respond well. So what I learned is that if you're trying to survive, Taco Bell and McDonald's will save your life. Burger King might take it. There was this one particular McDonald's that's actually still there on Armingo and Castor Avenue in Port Richmond. And I would go there a lot just because it's kind of on the way to the water ice stand. And this girl got used to seeing me and knew I was broke because I would never buy anything for over $1. And so if I came there really late at night, like she would like look around and make sure I knew I was looking, and she'd get a big bag and she'd fill the whole thing up with fries for me, which was super sweet of her. The winter of 2010 was particularly cold. I would go to bed in the freezer with 5 sweatshirts on, 5 pairs of sweatpants, with a blanket, and I would still be too cold. So some nights I would just sit in my car with the engine running and try to get some sleep. By mid-December, I was physically, mentally, and emotionally drained. I had nothing left. I was spent. So one night, I'm lying in the freezer, and I look at the ceiling in complete darkness, and I say, Lord, thank you for everything I got. I got a roof over my head. I have a car. I have a job. I have enough money to buy food. I have everything I need. But I can't do this anymore. I need help. A couple weeks later, I got a call from a sales company called PC Helps about a sales position making $35K a year. People who have heard this story call me crazy, and they would be right. I didn't reach my dream of getting signed to a label, but I would not trade the experience. It made me a better person, husband, father, and I wouldn't trade it. But I'm not sure I'd do it again. I actually told this story for my interview for grad school for physical therapy. I was in a room with 2 other potential students, and this teacher said, anyone got any good stories? And I told a story about the freezer. And after I was done, she looked at the other 2 candidates and she said, you should have let him go last. I will never forget my first night in my studio apartment. It was off of Route 1 in Ballackinwood. And I just remember being in this little bed, and I had the blanket around me. I'm like, I have heat, I'm warm, this is amazing. So that is the first of many crazy stories. If you'd like to read my first 2 award-winning children's books, The Colored Water Fountain and Christmas Sunrise, you can purchase them at Amazon or any major online retailer. If you'd like to hear my music, you can find that at any major streaming platform, or you can go to my YouTube channel, Calvin James Creates, or to my website, calvinjamescreates.com. If you like this, make sure you hit the subscribe button and come by for my next story, which is Patrick Swayze versus Optimus Prime. I know what you're thinking, that battle didn't exist in the 80s or 90s, but it did. And I'll explain how next video. Again, thank you for stopping by. Be safe. Keep the faith. Calvin James Creates.